Listen closely, gentlemen. If you think you know your partner inside and out, think again. The truth is, women are masters of disguise when it comes to affairs, and the signs are more subtle than you realize. You'll see the change, but by the time you catch on, it might be too late. Today, I'm about to reveal 7 tricks she'll never let you see coming. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video if you're ready to uncover the truth. And drop a comment. What city are you watching this from? Let's see where the truth travels. Trick 1. The silent phone. Ever noticed how she's suddenly glued to her phone? It's as if the moment she wakes up, that device is her first priority. Before a simple, good morning, or a kiss, this is not just about checking the weather or replying to a work email. No, it's much darker. It's the sign of someone more invested in a secret than in the person lying next to them. Take a minute to think about the behavior. She used to leave her phone on the kitchen counter, right? Maybe you even joked about it being her lifeline. But lately, it's a different story. She's constantly looking at it, and if you get too close, her body stiffens. If you ask who she's texting, she brushes it off, acting defensive. The most telling moment, when she flips the screen face down, as if the phone holds the key to a secret that could unravel everything. I've seen this happen before. A guy I know, a close friend of mine, thought his wife had just gotten into a new hobby, checking social media, texting friends. He didn't think much of it at first, until he noticed how she reacted when he simply reached for her phone to check the time. She pulled it away like it was her life savings locked in a vault. "Why do you always need to see my phone?" she snapped, her voice rising like she had just been caught in a lie. Here's the truth. When a woman is emotionally invested in someone else, her phone becomes her fortress. Every text, every message, and every notification is a lifeline to the person she's growing closer to. At first, you might chalk it up to paranoia. After all, we all get busy. But then the patterns emerge. The late-night texting, the constant need to check her phone during dinner, or worse, during your shared moments in bed. Her eyes dart away when you casually ask who she's texting. Her explanations come quickly, but they never quite add up. Maybe she's just chatting with an old friend or checking in on a colleague. But the body language never lies. You can feel it in the tension that fills the room when you ask her questions about her phone. You know something isn't right. But here's where it gets worse. It's not just about the phone anymore. This behavior, this need to keep things secret, begins to seep into other parts of your relationship. And that's just the beginning. The next sign, it's even harder to ignore. Stay tuned, because you won't believe how far she'll go to keep her secret hidden. Trick 2. The busy alibi. Have you noticed how she's suddenly too busy? It used to be that you two would spend hours together, and now it's a different story. She's always got something going on. Work, errands, seeing friends, or, worse, catching up on life. But here's the twist. You're not invited to be a part of this new, seemingly packed schedule. Take a moment and pay attention to the details. She says she's working late, but when you ask her about her day, the explanation feels empty. Her office doesn't seem that demanding, and she's not exactly pulling 12-hour shifts. So, where is she really going? One guy I know, let's call him Mark, was blindsided when his wife started staying late at work more often. At first, he was understanding, chalking it up to deadlines. But then, one night, when he was finally able to get through to her, she sounded distant. "Oh, I'm just catching up on emails." You know how it is. Mark was skeptical, but he didn't press her. The next few weeks were the same. Late night at work, meeting with clients, gym after work. Yet, whenever he suggested joining her for one of these late nights or meetings, she quickly brushed him off. Then, the cracks started to show. One evening, Mark went to check on her in the living room. Her phone was face down on the couch, and she was anxiously scrolling through something on her laptop. When he asked if everything was okay, she quickly snapped, "You always think something's wrong. Can't I just get some space?" Space? When did everything change so suddenly? Here's the deal. When she starts making excuses to be elsewhere without you, especially when these activities don't match up with the reality of her life. That's a red flag. It's not just that she's busy. No, it's that she's making herself busy, purposely creating distance between the two of you. The worst part? This busy schedule might just be a cover for something else entirely. She's not working or meeting friends, she's meeting someone else. That late night she's claiming was work. Well, it might just have been an excuse to be with him. But the alibi isn't always that simple. It gets more complicated when you notice something else, a pattern of evasiveness when you ask her the simplest questions. And that's when the next sign hits even harder. Brace yourself. You won't believe how deep the deception runs. Trick 3. Physical distance. Have you noticed the subtle withdrawal in her physical presence lately? At first, it's easy to overlook. Just a moment of tiredness, right? But then it becomes more frequent. A casual touch is brushed off, and when you try to get closer, there's a strange sense of coldness. It feels like the warmth between you two is slowly fading away, and you're left wondering if it's just a phase, or something more. Here's the thing, physical distance isn't just about avoiding affection. It's a psychological tactic, a defense mechanism. When she starts pulling away, it's because her emotional investment is now directed elsewhere. She's detaching herself from you, whether she's consciously aware of it or not. And the worst part, you might not even realize it until it's too late. A close friend of mine, let's call him Steve, started to feel this shift. His wife, who was once all over him with affection, suddenly began to pull back. It started with small things, a hug that lingered a bit too long, only to be quickly dismissed. Then, when Steve reached for her hand during a movie, she flinched as if his touch made her uncomfortable. He tried not to think too much about it, but deep down, he felt that something wasn't right. The final straw came when he tried to kiss her goodnight, and she pulled away, saying, "I'm just so tired." Tired? That didn't sound like the woman he'd known. She was always eager for intimacy, always looking for ways to connect physically. But now, there was an undeniable wall between them, one that wasn't there before. At this point, many men make the mistake of thinking it's just a temporary phase or an issue they can fix with a little more attention. But the truth is, when emotional investment shifts, physical closeness naturally follows suit. And it's not just the big moments that reveal this gap. It's in the subtle moments, the brush of a hand, the kiss that never quite lands, the way she shifts her body away from yours, as if she's physically protecting herself from getting too close. This detachment can be emotionally devastating, especially when you've been the one offering affection, attention, and care. The real question is, what is she pulling away from? The answer is often difficult to face, but it's always tied to the hidden emotional bond she's building with someone else. But what if this distancing isn't as accidental as it seems? What if it's not just about physical space, but something even deeper, something she's trying to hide from you? The truth is darker than you think. Let me show you why. Trick 4. Changing appearances. Something's different. She's spending more time in front of the mirror, fussing with her appearance, in ways that don't quite make sense. At first, it might be subtle. She's wearing a little more makeup or paying more attention to her outfit. But soon, you start noticing things that don't add up. She's putting more effort into looking good, but there's no event on the horizon that would require it. No special occasion, no reason to impress anyone, right? Here's where the alarm bells should go off. When a woman starts taking extra time and care with her appearance, especially for no clear reason, it's often because she's trying to impress someone specific. The motivation isn't just about feeling good for herself. No, this sudden interest in her looks isn't just self-care. It's about seeking validation from someone else. Take the story of one man, let's call him Jack. Jack's girlfriend, whom he'd known for over 2 years, had always been the low-maintenance type. She didn't care much about fashion or makeup, and honestly, she was comfortable in her own skin. But then, one day, he noticed she was spending longer in the bathroom. She started trying new hairstyles, experimenting with makeup, and even bought a new wardrobe. It wasn't just a few casual pieces either. She was investing in outfits that made her look more polished, more put together, as if she was preparing for something or someone. When Jack asked her about the change, she casually said, "Oh, I just felt like trying something new." Sure, it sounded harmless at first, but it wasn't the only clue. The change was too drastic, too sudden, and definitely out of character. It wasn't about confidence, it was about impressing someone new, someone who had caught her attention. Here's the psychology behind this behavior. When a woman feels emotionally or physically attracted to someone else, she wants to present her best self to that person. It's not about general self-improvement, it's about preparing for the possibility of an encounter with someone who has sparked new excitement in her life. This drive to look appealing isn't just about impressing anyone, it's about impressing him. She wants to be noticed by someone who is feeding the emotional hunger she's been feeling. And here's the kicker. It's not just about her wardrobe or makeup. This sudden attention to her appearance can also show up in the way she talks about herself. Her body language shifts, her confidence soars, and she begins to express herself in ways that make her seem more desirable. But what happens when she tries to hide it from you? When she gets defensive about the new outfits or brushes off your compliments as if they don't matter? That's where things start to get even more dangerous. Stay tuned. Trick 5, emotional roller coasters. Lately, she seems off. One moment, she's overflowing with energy, radiating happiness, and almost giddy for no apparent reason. But then, out of nowhere, her mood flips. She's distant, irritable, even cold. It's like there's a storm brewing inside her, and you're left standing there, completely unsure of what triggered it. These emotional roller coasters are no accident. They're a sign that something is shifting, something you're not being told about. When a woman starts showing erratic mood swings, especially with no obvious cause, it's usually a sign that her emotional investment is no longer fully directed at you. Instead, her emotional state has become tied to someone else. She's getting her highs from someone new, someone who is making her feel the excitement, the rush, and the newness that she's missing in her relationship with you. Let's take the case of Tom. Tom's wife, Karen, had always been a steady presence in his life. She wasn't one for wild mood swings, and if she was upset, she'd usually communicate it directly. But then something changed. Tom noticed that after their dinner dates, or just regular evenings together, Karen was unusually cheerful, almost giddy. She would hum while doing the dishes, or smile at her phone more often than usual. He didn't think much of it at first, but it felt off. But then came the flip side. Some mornings, Karen would wake up in an unexpectedly foul mood. She'd snap at him for trivial things, a missed call, an offhand comment, or even just the way he looked at her. The contrast was jarring. Tom would try to ask what was wrong, but Karen would brush him off with vague answers. "I'm just tired," or "I've got a lot on my mind," became her go-to lines. But Tom noticed a pattern. On the days when she seemed too cheerful, she had been texting late into the night, long after he had gone to bed. It wasn't just a few off days, it was a regular cycle. She'd have a burst of energy, then retreat into herself, as though some emotional wave was pulling her in opposite directions. But here's the kicker. These mood swings weren't caused by him. They were caused by the secret excitement she was getting from someone else. He was the cause of the highs. She was just masking it with her lows when reality came crashing down. The emotional detachment from you is real, and it's growing. But this isn't even the worst part. The next trick she pulls? It's far more subtle and harder to catch, but it's just as dangerous. Trick 6. Overcompensating behavior. You've probably noticed it by now. The sudden flood of affection. She's extra sweet, more attentive, maybe even giving you compliments she never used to give. It feels like the old days, when everything between you was easy and full of warmth. But here's the catch. It's not natural. This overcompensation isn't coming from a place of genuine love. It's coming from guilt. When a woman starts showering you with attention out of the blue, it's often because she's trying to cover something up. She knows that the emotional connection between you is slipping, so she's turning up the affection to mask the growing distance. It's like a band-aid over a deeper wound. Take the example of David and Rachel. Lately, Rachel had been going above and beyond, extra hugs, compliments, even little thoughtful gestures. But David couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. One night, after she came back from a late dinner with friends, she was unusually affectionate, showering him with kisses and sweet words. He found it strange, given how distant she'd been the past few days. When David gently asked her if everything was okay, she quickly dismissed it with a smile and said, "I'm just really happy with you." It felt forced, too perfect. It wasn't just about making him feel good, it was about making her feel better. She was trying to cover her guilt and mask her detachment. Here's the thing, when she starts overcompensating, it's because she's emotionally detached and is now trying to make up for that. The sudden closeness is a distraction, an attempt to keep you from noticing the cracks forming in your relationship. But this is just the surface. The deeper issue, what she's hiding isn't something you'll catch right away. It's what's happening when she isn't with you that matters. And it's about to get much more complicated. Stay tuned. The next trick is even harder to see, but it's crucial. Trick 7, the emotional detachment. You've felt it, haven't you? The growing distance between you. She's physically there, but emotionally, it's like she's a million miles away. Conversations have become shallow, her attention is scattered, and every time you try to connect, she pulls back. She'll claim she's stressed or just tired, but deep down, you know something more is going on. This emotional detachment isn't a coincidence. It's a deliberate shift, one that happens when she starts investing her energy elsewhere. When a woman begins to emotionally withdraw, it's often because she's already emotionally involved with someone else. And you're simply not on her radar anymore. Let's look at Marcus and Emily. Marcus started noticing a change after years of solid connection. Emily, who used to be genuinely interested in his day, suddenly didn't care about his thoughts or feelings. She'd make excuses, "I'm busy," or "let's talk later," whenever he tried to engage in a deeper conversation. Instead, her attention would be elsewhere, often on her phone. When he confronted her, she dismissed it, saying she just needed space. But what if that space was already being filled by someone else? Here's the harsh reality. When a woman asks for space, it's usually because she's already mentally and emotionally checked out. She's creating distance, not to reflect, but to make room for someone else to fill the void. And the worst part, she may never tell you the real reason why she's pulling away. But this detachment isn't just about emotional distance. It's about the foundation of trust and intimacy crumbling. And as you'll soon see, this shift marks the beginning of something much more dangerous. The truth is, if you've noticed these signs, it's not paranoia. It's your instincts telling you that something deeper is at play, and it's time to wake up before it's too late. See you in the next video.